Imagine you were camping in the woods, and in the middle of the night, a loud scream roars throughout the forest. You instantly wake up, feeling terrified, and you look over at your friend to see if he heard the scream too. But when you peek over at their sleeping bag, you notice they're gone. You quickly get out of the tent to look for them, when suddenly you see their phone on the ground. And on that phone is a blurry picture of the woods with a stranger's face in it. And that's when you realize something serious just happened. Because this is how a camping trip with my friends went one time. And I'm gonna tell you exactly how it started and how this nightmare trip ended. So it all began when my friends asked if I wanted to go camping one weekend. And I figured it'd be good to touch grass for the first time in a couple of years, so I said yes. My friend Matt was the one who originally brought up the idea. He had a whole plan for how the weekend would go. He said there was a camping spot about an hour and a half from where we lived and that it was super cool. But here's the part he didn't tell us. This camping spot wasn't an official campground. It was just a cool looking spot next to the lake that pretty much only locals knew about. He found it through a Reddit post, which in hindsight should have been red flag number 1. Like we all know, nothing good comes from Reddit, only freaky stuff. But we didn't know that going in, so we all agreed that we were down. The plan was simple. Friday to Sunday, pack light, be ready to rough it out a little bit. Because this was real camping. There wasn't going to be any service, no power, no bathrooms. We didn't want to be those people that say we're going camping, yet we sleep in a king-size bed. Nah, we were trying to do it like our ancestors thousands of years ago. But you know what this meant? No doom scrolling for a whole weekend. Now here's the thing. Even though we're all big boys, we prepared for this trip like how middle schoolers would. My friend Jaden brought 5 bags of chips and literally nothing else. My friend Aaron forgot his sleeping bag entirely, and I brought the baby oil. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? But anyways, point is, we didn't prepare like we should have at all. And that would really come back to bite us once we went on the trip. We all piled into one car and hit the road Friday afternoon. And the drive there was amazing. Good music, good food, good conversations. It felt like one of those coming of age movies where nothing bad happens. But as we got further out of the city, the scenery started to change. The roads narrowed, the trees became more dense, and the towns got smaller. At one point, we passed through this place called Linton Hollow, which had one gas station, a post office that looked abandoned, and a 24-hour diner with a sign that literally said, "Try our possum pie." So yeah, we were getting deep into the rural areas. After another 30 minutes on back roads, we pulled up to this dirt trail, and that's where we parked. That was the end of the line for the car. From here, it was a short hike into the woods to get to the spot where we were gonna set up camp. And this is where we should have started to get worried. Because as we're unloading our stuff from the car, this old guy walks by us on the trail. Probably in his late 60s, big beard, camo jacket, the kind of guy who looks like he lives out here. But if you've ever met someone that lives in the woods full time, let's just say they're usually a little different. Normally harmless, but not always. And in this case in particular, he was far from harmless. He gives us a glance, not unfriendly, but not very warm either. Then he nods and says, "Y'all heading in?" We nod back and tell him, yeah, we're just here for the weekend. This guy pauses, looks out towards the woods, and then says, "Well, y'all be careful out there. It gets real easy to get stuck in these woods after dark." And then he just kept walking, which, objectively speaking, I don't think that's how you want a conversation with the random man in the woods to end. Because that didn't sound like a warning. It sounded like a precursor for something bad that was about to happen. But whatever, we kept hiking. And after about 15 minutes, we reached the camping spot. And it was beautiful. A wide open space surrounded by huge trees right by the lake. There was a perfect flat spot for tents. The water looked so still that it almost seemed fake. Sun was still up, weather was still great, and we had this whole place to ourselves. Or so we thought. We get everything set up. Tents pitched, firewood gathered. But as we're doing all this, we hear a voice from behind us. "Looks like you boys got the whole place to yourselves, huh?" We all whip around, and it's the same guy from before. Camo jacket, big beard, same thick accent, just standing a few feet from the edge of the trees as if he had been watching us for who knows how long. And remember, it took us about 15 minutes to walk from the car to get to the location we were camping at. So the odds of him randomly being in this same area were incredibly low. But we brushed it off and just played it cool. One of my friends just kind of laughed nervously and said, "Yeah, looks like we do got the whole place to ourselves." The guy just smiles and goes, "That's good. Used to be real busy around here, but folks don't usually come out this way no more." He pauses again, as if he's trying to decide whether to say more or not, and then he just goes, "Well, y'all have a good night." Then he just disappears back into the forest. We shake it off because it's daylight, I'm with my friends, and if anything were to happen to us, all I gotta do is be faster than one person. And luckily, my boy Jaden is slow. I'm not kidding. That man is slower than a girl responding to my text, so I was good. Eventually, the sun starts to go down and we build a fire. Now this is where the vibe starts to shift, because no matter how old you are, the moment you get around a campfire with your friends, you're gonna start telling scary stories. You don't even choose to do it. It just happens. So we start all sharing ones that we know. Jaden tells one about a man who went missing in the woods and was found years later living in a cave convinced that he never left his hometown. Aaron tells a real one about his brother's friend who went camping in Utah, and when he came back, he was genuinely convinced that Bigfoot was real. Like, it completely changed him. Then Matt, of course, who always says the stupidest things, tells a story that made no sense. Something about a werewolf, a flashlight, and Walgreens. But it felt like one of those rare nights where everything was just perfect. Just us, the woods, and the fire crackling in the middle. Eventually it gets late, around 1 in the morning, and we're all ready to go to sleep. So we grab water, start putting the fire out, and we head for our tents. Now, something I should mention. We set up 3 tents. Jaden and Aaron in one, Eli and Matt in another, and me solo. Because I talk a lot in my sleep, and I guess no one wanted to get serenaded by my beautiful voice. Which is fine, whatever. I prefer to sleep by myself anyway. I definitely did not want to snuggle with the homies. I promise.
They ask you how you are, you just have...
So we all zip up our tents for the night, and now the woods are silent. And eventually, I fall asleep. But then at some point during the night, I wake up to a loud scream. It was just one word. Hello! It sounded like someone yelling from the middle of the woods, but not in a scared, help me way, just hello! Like they were calling out to no one in particular, just throwing it out there in case someone or something responded. My eyes snapped open and I instantly sat up in my tent because the sound didn't seem that far away. Now, my initial thought wasn't ghost or creepy guy from earlier. At first, I thought it was one of our friends messing with us. I figured one of my friends, probably Matt, was trying to just freak us out. He was way too excited about the creepy storytelling earlier, and I would not be surprised if he just thought it would be funny to prank us at 3 a.m. So I unzip my tent and just peek out a little bit. Everything is still. The fire's completely out. The moonlight is making it so you can kind of see into the distance, but not much because of how thick the forest is. And none of my friends' tents are moving or lit up. So either my friends were super committed to this bit, or they didn't hear the sound that I just heard. I sit there with my face poked out of the tent, just listening, but it's just silence. So then I whisper, Matt. No response. I whisper louder, Matt, if that was you, no one thought that was funny, bro. Still nothing though. So I finally unzip the rest of my tent, walk out, and head towards my friend's tent. Theirs were all still zipped up tight. So now I'm starting to think, did I just imagine that sound? Was I dreaming it? I'm literally standing in the middle of where we were camping, trying to figure out if I just hallucinated that voice or not. But then that's when I noticed something. Matt's shoes. They weren't outside the tent anymore. Earlier in the night, I saw them lined up right next to his tent. Bright red Converse. Hard to miss them. But now, they were gone. So I crouched down and whispered, Matt. No answer. So I unzipped their tent slightly just to peek inside. But when I do that, my heart drops into my stomach. Because Eli's inside, alone. I'm staring at the tent, and half of it is empty. Matt's half. And what's weird was, his shoes? Gone. His phone? Gone. No sign of him anywhere. And Eli was still dead asleep like he was training for the Olympic Games of napping. So I whisper his name. Eli. No response. Dude, wake up. But nothing can get these guys up. So I crawl halfway into his tent and start tickling him. Whoa. Hey, he practically jumps out of his sleeping bag like he's in a military drill. What time is it? I don't know. Like 3? Do you know where Matt went though? What do you mean do I know where Matt went? Look next to you. He's not here. Oh, well, he literally just was here. I unzip the rest of the tent and tell him that we need to look for Matt because I heard someone screaming in the forest. So he starts to wake up and we get out of the tent. Eli's doing this thing where he's trying to rationalize it. Okay, well, maybe he just needed to take a dump or something. At 3 in the morning? I mean, you've never had post-campfire stomach problems? We did have a lot of s'mores, so fair point. But still, that doesn't explain the screaming in the woods. We scan the area around the tent. There's no light coming from the forest. No sounds, just the soft slosh of the lake a few hundred feet away. I grab my flashlight and we walk over toward Jaden and Aaron's tent. Guys, wake up. They unzip their tent and Jaden pokes his head out. Dude, it's like 3 a.m. What? Matt's gone. Gone where? We don't know. Aaron sits up in the tent behind him. What do you mean gone? We gather around in the middle of the campsite. Me, Eli, Jaden, and Aaron. Everyone now up and on edge. I explain everything. The voice that woke me up, Matt not being there, his shoes and phone being gone, and him not answering when I called out to him. Jaden's like, okay, hold up. He's probably just messing with us. You know how he is. I wanted to believe that, but it just didn't add up. So Jaden grabs a flashlight. Matt, bro, where are you? We all wait, but we don't get a response. So Aaron joins in. Yo, come on, Matt, don't do this again. But after about 10 minutes of doing this, looking for him, he doesn't respond. And don't get me wrong, Matt can be a troll, but he would never take it this far. So we split into 2 pairs. Jaden and Aaron head left toward the lake. Eli and I take the trail leading into the woods. We walk for maybe 5 minutes, calling Matt's name, searching for anything. A shoe, a flashlight, a sarcastic voice going, gotcha. Yes, that is exactly what Matt sounds like, by the way. But instead, we find a clue we really wish we didn't find. His phone. Just sitting there in the dirt, maybe 30 feet off of the trail. The flashlight is still on. His screen is unlocked as if he was trying to use it before he lost it. So we pick it up and there's a photo on the screen. It was a blurry one, as if it was snapped quickly, mid-motion. Most of the picture is just darkness and tree bark, but in the bottom left corner, barely visible, there's a sliver of someone's face. Not Matt's, because it was grainy, but I could tell that the hair color wasn't his. Matt has brown hair, and this was gray. Eli and I stare at each other for a solid 10 seconds without saying anything. And then he says what we were both thinking. That looks like the guy from earlier. Yeah, it does. Before we can say anything else, we hear rustling behind us. We both whip around with our lights up, but nothing's there. Then, a whisper cuts through the dark. But it's not from ahead of us, it's from behind, closer to the lake. It was soft this time, almost as if we were being messed with. Hello? Eli and I don't want to see where it came from, so we sprint back towards the campsite. When we get there, Jaden and Aaron are already back. You guys find anything? Just his phone. We show him the picture and all agree that the person in the bottom left corner looks like the man from earlier. This is when we all agree that it is no longer a prank. It's not funny anymore. We need to take this seriously. We stood in a circle near the campfire as we were discussing what to do. Jaden threw his phone in anger and said, I don't even have any service. If this gets worse, we're done. We all tried making sense of the picture we saw on Matt's phone. Why would he take a picture like this? And why wouldn't he come back? Or was he not the one to take the picture at all? Nobody had a good answer. And honestly, I was trying not to spiral, because the more I thought about that blurry figure in the photo, the camo jacket, the beard, the hair, the fact that we saw that exact guy earlier, the more I started to wonder, what if he never stopped watching us? What if he was still out there, just watching, waiting for us to go to sleep? I took a deep breath, and then I said, okay, here's what we do. We do one more search together, looking for Matt. And if we don't find him, we go back to town and try to get help. We all agree. So we gear up with our flashlights and lanterns and head back towards the spot where we found Matt's phone. The scary part about the woods is that you always hear weird noises rustling around you. And you can't see that far into the distance, so there could be something dangerous right next to you without you even realizing it. We started calling out again, but louder this time. Matt, if you can hear us, say something. As I'm shining my flashlight around, it lands on a tree, but there's something carved into it, a huge X. I aim the flashlight a few trees over, and there's another X. Same height, same angle, as if it was a trail marker. But for what? Aaron whispers, okay, does anyone else feel like it's a bad idea to follow these X's? But this is our best lead, so we ignore them and keep walking to the next one. We find a third X carved into a tree, and right at the base of that one, under a couple of leaves, what do we see? A sock. A single, damp sock. We all freeze trying to figure out if that could be Matt's sock, because it was still kind of white, so it didn't look like it had been there for long. Aaron backs up a step and goes, okay, this is getting out of hand now. We need to go back and get help. We turn around to retrace our steps, but something's wrong, because as we're walking back in the direction we're supposed to go, that's when we see smoke. So we head towards the smoke, and maybe a few hundred feet away, we see a cabin in the middle of the woods, alone. That's never led to something bad before, right? Smoke is drifting from the chimney of it, and when we see it for the first time, we're all thinking the same thing. Matt might be inside there. Everyone's looking at each other, trying to decide which type of regret they'd rather have. Walking into danger, or walking away from a friend. Finally, Jaden sighs and goes, okay, let's check. We have to check the house. So we creep towards the door, and it was already halfway open. So when we got close to it, we shined our flashlights inside. It was clearly someone's cabin, but as we're shining the light through it, we see a bed, and laying on it is a person with a beard. Yeah, it was the guy from earlier. Once our flashlight hit him in the face, we immediately got away from the front door so it didn't look like we were trying to break in. He obviously saw the light, so he came outside himself. Then he stared us all in the eyes, and then he smiled. So we're all confused as to what's happening now, and without saying a word, he points to the corner of the house. We edge a little closer to see what he's pointing at, and that's when we see Matt's backpack. In that moment, I knew one thing must have happened. This man ate Matt. Nah, I'm just kidding. But we did ask him where Matt was, and he told us to come inside. Against our best judgment, we did. And fully asleep, laying on his couch, was no other than Matt. We woke him up as fast as possible, and this is how he reacted. What are you guys freaking out about? Dude, why are you here? What happened? Oh, I got lost in the woods trying to find a good place to poop, and when I screamed out seeing if anyone could hear me, this man got to me. Luckily, he took me into his cabin and said I could stay here for the rest of the night until it was light outside so I could find my way back to you guys in the morning. Apparently, this mysterious forest man was just being a nice civilian and giving our friend a place to sleep because he was lost. But also, remember how I said he followed us about 15 minutes into the woods that day? Yeah, well, It turns out that guy owned about 50 acres of land in that forest. So we were technically trespassing onto his property in the camping spot we were at. So he was just watching us to make sure we weren't doing anything bad since we were on his property. But knowing that we were trespassing on his property, he never even kicked us out. He just wanted to make sure that we didn't do anything bad. So if you guys see a creepy looking man in the middle of the forest, odds are they're pretty cool. So go into their cabin. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that.